Welcome back. If you're just joining us, you're watching the news at 10 live on Channels Television. A reminder of our top stories. Governors of ruling APC back President Buhari on tenure extension for elected officials set for party congresses at all levels. President Buhari meets with security chiefs, approves $1 billion for the purchase of military equipment to tackle terrorism and other crimes. As Army winds down Operation Cat Race in Benue, controversy trails military's activities in the state as troops intercept armed herdsmen in Guma Council. An organization for the prohibition of chemical weapons turns down Russia's proposal for joint probe into the poisoning of an ex-spy and his daughter in the UK. Now, channelstv.com has more information for you, and on youtube.com/channelsweb, you can watch our videos. You can also watch us on your mobile device via your browser, or download the Channels TV app for Android, iOS, and Windows devices from their respective stores. Besides giving you access to news updates on the go, the Channels TV and Channels 24 app have an eyewitness feature that you can use to share pictures, videos, or news of happenings around you. Just install the app, then tap and swipe to reveal the menu, and then follow the instructions. Now we have some of those pictures that you sent in, beginning from this one in Olodia Papa in Lagos State, showing this falling truck at the Suya area. Our eyewitness reporter says following this mishap, goods worth millions of naira were destroyed. Next is this image from Imo State of a road project allegedly left unfinished. Our eyewitness reporter says this road connects 3 market towns and laments the effects of this on residents. He pleads with the state government to ensure the completion of the project. And finally is this image from Minna, the Niger State capital, showing some road dividers lying on a section of the road after it has been completed. Our eyewitness reporter wants these obstructions removed to avoid accidents. We thank you for sending in these pictures. Please note that you too can report events as they happen around you. The Kano State Police Command has commenced the process of disarming civilians who acquired firearms illegally. The State Police Commissioner, Rabiu Yusuf, says the task force of the State Command will continue to clean the streets of Kano metropolis to read the state of illegal arms ahead of the 2019 elections. The cleanup exercise is a directive from the Office of the Inspector General of Police. Meanwhile, the Ogun State Police Command has arrested a man who claims to be a pastor and his accomplice for allegedly killing a 35-year-old woman who they then went on to bury in his church premises. The Ogun State Commissioner of Police, Ahmed Ilyasu, is warning residents of the state to be wary of such people and report any suspicious activities to the police to prevent a repeat of such acts.
Little did this mother of 5 children know that this building, used as a church to which she was a member, would become her grave. Investigations by the Ogun State Police Command unearthed her corpse and the facts of the case.
The pastor confessed killing the victim and buried her inside his church after removing her head and 2 hands for reasons only known to him and God. He also mentioned one Pastor Daniel Sopeju, male of Iana Igbado, as his accomplice.
Her murderer turned out to be her pastor, and according to the police, there was more to their relationship than met the eye.
It will interest you to know that the victim was a secret lover to the pastor who eventually hacked her to death.
The alleged murderer confessed to the crime.
But I didn't know what really befell me and led me to this. I can't hold it within me. I am feeling somehow. I know how I'm feeling. I don't feel as a human being anymore because what I have done within me, I'm really regretting.
Although how he became a pastor is yet to be determined, as many lay claim to the title without ordination. The suspect, who also allegedly doubles as a teacher of accounting and commerce at Methodist High School, Ewekoro, local government area, gave a little more detail of what was done to her body after killing her.
The calabash is big, and it was painted white. The hands also were put inside and they told me that they are going to burn it and share it among the occultic members.
The church building is pulled down and the suspects taken away by the police to be prosecuted according to the law.
Such a tragedy. The Monetary Policy Committee of the Central Bank is concerned about the increasing monetization of oil proceeds by the Federal Accounts Allocation Committee. The governor of the Central Bank, Mr. Godwin Emefiele, who was speaking after the committee's meeting in Abuja, says the monthly distribution of the funds from the oil sector has not allowed the federal government to save for the rainy day. The committee also describes as low the 6 trillion naira loan to the real sector by deposit money banks.
It's the usual briefing that follows every CBN MPC meeting with the media. CBN Governor Godwin Emefiele reels out the considerations of the 9-member committee, which centers around global and domestic trends.
The Monetary Policy Committee noted some downside risks to the outlook for global growth, to include continuing normalization of monetary policy in the advanced economies, new U.S. trade policy, uncertainties associated with the Brexit negotiations, and rising geopolitical tensions in the Middle East and on the Korean Peninsula.
Delivering the decision of the committee, Mr. Emefiele explains the need for corrective measures and fiscal distortions, adding that the decision to retain rates at current levels relates to consumer pricing and Nigeria's current account balance.
The committee of the view that loosening will strengthen the outlook for growth by stimulating domestic aggregate demand through reduced cost of borrowing. This may, however, lead to a rise in consumer prices, generating exchange rate pressures on the currency in the process. The committee also believes that loosening could worsen the current account balance through increased importation. On the argument to hold, the committee believes that key variables have continued to evolve in line with the current stance of macroeconomic policy and should be allowed more time to fully manifest. In consideration of the foregoing, the committee decided unanimously by a vote of all members present to retain monetary policy rate MPR at 14%, alongside all other policy parameters.
The CBN governor also introduced the new members of the committee.
The members of the Monetary Policy Committee are independent-minded people who come in with no preconceived mission or decision. They come in, data is presented by the Monetary Policy Committee, Monetary Policy Department, and based on that, they make up their mind as to the choice of options that they're going to go for.
With the first and successful monetary rate-setting meeting held, the next line of expectation from the markets will be the passage of the 2018 budget.
Now let's get some perspective on the MPC meeting outcome, and for that I'm now being joined by Economics and Chief Executive Officer of Financial Derivatives Company, Mr. Bismarck Ruwani. Thank you as usual for joining us on a day like this.
Thank you, Laddie.
Unanimous decision to keep everything stable.
Yeah.
Did you expect anything else?
5 months ago, you and I were here. Same old, right? So what has happened? 21 months have gone by between when we've maintained the status quo till today. Is that a good thing? You have to look at it from 3 perspectives. One, from a monetary policy central bank perspective, whose mandate is to maintain price stability. The central bank governor and the committee said we need more time for things to settle down before we can actually go into an accommodative stance. Okay, so 2 things. 1, fear of inflationary pressures, and 2, current account imbalances that could arise. But we've had 21 months of doing this. And we have a committee now of 9 members. 5 of these members are Buhari appointees, and the previous 4 are Jonathan appointees. So you have a balance.
A fair mix.
And they came up with a unanimous decision that they need more time. But they also did not tell us what we need to see
to determine when it will be time.
Right, so waited for 21 months, 36 months of this administration, and we're still waiting for something to happen. But the good thing is that of the 9 parameters that they look at, 8 were positive and 1 was negative. The only one that was negative is an increase in debt. All other things point to the fact that the economy is stable, but the growth is anemic. It's only 0.8%. And there's underemployment and unemployment. So if you brought down interest rates, you could actually stimulate that. But if it's going to lead to a risk of inflationary pressures, then the experts say, let's wait. But if you look at it from a manufacturer's perspective, they're borrowing at 25, 28, 30%. They need interest rates to come down to be able to increase their inventory, employ more people, expand plant and equipment. The central bank did say also that they would selectively intervene in areas for the vulnerable.
Because they said they weren't happy with the level of the borrowing.
Lending, right, but the point is that why don't you allow the market determine that and bring down interest rates so everybody can borrow, not when selectively we have to go to the central bank and then
make special considerations.
Once you do that, these guys are doing it altruistically, they are honest, and we have confidence that there's no abuse of that process. But the problem is that it can be abused. So we need to avoid that. That's why a market solution is always the best solution. But if you're looking at it from the government point of view, that you want to increase employment, you want to increase growth, you want to actually improve the well-being and standard of living of the people, then definitely when you're coming out of a recession and you want to stimulate growth, you need to bring down interest rates. That's the way. But if you're looking at it from the consumer, that's you and I, what's going to happen is that we are going to be coasting along and waiting for something to change.
Yeah, but wages will remain static. Virtually everything will remain at one.
Absolutely. That's the problem. The point is that the data and the parameters are positive, but the impact is minimal. What the people are looking at is not, look, we're sick and tired of data. What we want is impact. When am I going to see unemployment go down? When am I going to see growth increase? When am I going to see activity levels? When am I going to do that? That is the question. So 3 perspectives. From monetary policy perspective, central bank mandate, price stability, what they've done, absolutely no problem at all. But from a government, broad macroeconomic output perspective, no, this is not the way to go. There's no decision which does not have a risk. So if we are waiting for a riskless decision, then we are going to be on this for the next 10 years. Now, from the consumer, things are getting better. So, but the risk that if they change the stance and things then go bad, then nobody is going to. So they say, let us err on the side of caution. So that's the balanced and objective analysis of the situation we face ourselves right now.
Now, I've been told that we're almost out of time, but I must ask you, do you think the impact of the new members, those who are attending the meeting for the very first time, who you alluded to earlier on, yes. Do you think they in any way tended to exercise this issue of caution even more than those who were already on ground?
No, these are seasoned professionals. And the central bank governor said they are there. They're not there because, oh, let's
slow things down.
No. You see, the thing is that an economic patient is like a medical patient. You're not going to say, if there's an accident, the surgeon has only started work today, therefore he won't operate on you. These guys were ready to go. And so I'm assuming that they made the decision dispassionately, objectively, and professionally. But it's just the fact that after all that, confirm them and not confirm them, we were one of the people that said, look, the National Assembly, confirm these guys so that I can get to work and so they can move. If after 5 months, the last time we met here was 5 months ago,
that's right.
You did not, then all we had to do was to maintain the status quo, then it begins to make us understand that what has changed. And that's the problem. The more things change, the more they remain the same.
Thank you very much for joining us on the News at 10, Mr. Rwani. Ms. Makromari, Chief Executive Officer of Financial Derivatives Limited. The Kaduna State Governor is inviting investors in and outside the country to consider the state as their one-stop shop for investment. We'll have this story and indeed others after the break. Please stay on with us.